how you can properly reduce the amount of water on your ground spray rig and still get good coverage. That's what we're talking about, and it's going to help you farm more efficiently in this episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
Welcome to XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve podcast, where real farmers share real insights and real results to help you improve your farming operation. And now, here's your host, Damian Mason.
Hey there, welcome to another fantastic episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve. We got a good one for you today. I've got Chase Gardner with Spray Tech here. He's joined up with Chad Henderson. Chase was just over in Alabama with Chad yesterday, and I said, you know what, this is a great topic. Let's get this on the air here. You're putting way too much water in your spray rig. You're hauling a lot of water. It's costing you a lot of time. It's inefficient, and it's unnecessary. Before we hit record, Mr. Henderson just said to me, Damian, you know what? We're putting 2 gallons to the acre on a crop duster. And why are we going out here with 20 gallons or 15 gallons on our ground sprayer rig? Well, you know what? You don't have to. And Chad's got some experimentation going on, and it's going to be something you should bring to your farm because you're hauling around a heck of a lot of water unnecessarily. Chad, it's a very good point. And you said, well, there's one reason, because a drone or an airplane forces product down. And so we've gone to putting all this water in the spray rig so we get good coverage, but it's not necessary. So when did this dawn on you that you wanted to reduce the amount of water you're hauling around?
When somebody else brought it to me. I can't take this one at all. Most of the time, if it would have been a big then it would probably been mine. But usually, we work with Brewer Blessed and some of the guys over there. And so Brewer's been working on this for a while. He's got it, in with another group. And so, this has been something coming. But, back in the day, in the early 90s, when we sprayed cotton, we do 5-gallon work, or a big load was 7 gallons. You had 300 and 400 gallon tanks. You just couldn't do 15-gallon water, So, as the sprayers got bigger, all we did was increase our water and keep our load the same. Mm-hmm. Well, you need more water. And so what we figured out is once we fix our water, and get our water with pH right, or get it whatever you need into bicarbonates, the pH, multiple things. When you fix that water, then you can start doing these things and get the same kind of kill.
It makes sense that you've got this huge rig. What's a tank on your sprayer now? Like 1,500 gallons or something?
These are 12s. What we're running now is 12.
So it makes sense. You've got the capacity. Everything about the machine is more efficient and got better technology. Why not go ahead and just put more water in? Then you for sure get the coverage. And then it was at your farm a few years ago. We went out at nighttime with a company that we were working with. We put dye in the sprayer, and we went out there with black lights. You'd have loved it, Chase. We were getting bit by mosquitoes. It was 90 degrees at night, and we were climbing around getting an itchy stuff. We could have been drinking beer in the air conditioning, but instead we went and did that. That's how much we love our XtremeAg following. Anyway, it was all about looking at coverage, looking at how much leaf on the crop was covered with the spray. Makes sense. Put more water in, get more mist out there, and get more coverage. But it's a complete waste of time because you're hauling a lot of water and you spend a lot of time filling up your thing, and you can cover a heck of a lot more acres. So anyway, you kind of brought this topic to me, Chase. You're making this work because you put products in there. That's where the Spray Tech comes in. But there's a lot of other things that are involved. You've got to also have a really good sprayer. You got to make sure your tips are right. There's a bunch of other aspects of this. But talk about the products. Why is it that the product is going to make it effective to use less water?
Yeah. So the way that we're doing this is with the adjuvant and the oil. So it's kind of weird how we're doing it. But with the oil, we're actually using the oil for weight. And it's hard to say, okay, we're using oil and water, mixing it together, using the oil for weight. That's why we're doing it there. But with the adjuvant, every component of the adjuvant is making your water better. And that's how we're able to, when you make your water better, you're making the chemistries that you put in the tank better. So that's how we're able to do it with that product. We're able to put that in the tank before we put any of the chemistries, any of the chemicals we put in the tank. And then that's just making everything more effective, more efficient. And that's the way we're able to drop our water down.
Okay. So, by the way, if you're from maybe like Minnesota and you hear these guys saying oil, that means oil. That's just our friend. That's just our friend from Southeast Arkansas. Okay. So the point is, Brewer Blessed, a guy that we work with a bit, agronomic consultant, came to you, Chad, and said, "Hey, I've been doing a bunch of experiments on this. Does it work without? Does it work without the crop oil and the adjuvant?"
Ooh, that's a good question, because I just don't, over the last I guess I'm Chase, probably 5 years deep with some of this stuff, and so I just kind of quit running. I don't really run my sprayer without the adjuvant, because we're through testing that. I'm not going to keep testing something.
Yeah, because it works.
It works.
And when Chase says it makes the water better, what we're talking about is it makes the product get in the plant. It's
pH. So everything we put in a tank is trying to drive the pH up, okay? And the adjuvant is bringing the pH back down. So we have the neutral area that we want to spray in, okay? Well, some products want a little bit higher pH, but it's not controllable. It's not say, oh, I need a half a number better pH on this one load. I mean, you just try to get in the ballpark of it, and because we're looking at real day terms, we're talking about spraying 1,000 acres a day. Like I'm not going to check every sample of water. But when we know what a combination is, we know where we need to be with it.
Yep.
With that being said, we put the adjuvant in and bring the pH down. We get better kill and we get better uptake. A lot of times when people wonder why foliars don't work, it's not because of the foliar. Foliar's on point. It's because the water source and the pH got up in it and they don't get it in the plant. So us as farmers like, oh, that's snake oil, that don't work. Well, how do you know that? So, and the next component is the tips. We're still working through that. It's always a work in progress. But when you get down there, you get down to where you just need coverage. People ask, well, how low is too low? And I ask a brewer that, how low is too low? Well, it's the coverage of your pattern. So if you got a 15-inch sprayer on tips on 15 inches, you could get down pretty low with pressure versus 20 inches or 30 inches. You have to have the overlap. Once you get the overlap, you're there. And then the next part of it is don't need to go over 28 PSI because that's where the oil and water separate. So it's don't just think you're going to, I'm going to put this in and take off. There's just a few things you need to know.
Okay, 28 PSI, I don't know how that compares to what would have been normal back when we used more water. What is it? Is that more?
I mean, it's just PSI is PSI.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the same then. But
so if you were putting out 3 times as much water in the mix, PSI doesn't matter as much just because you're basically.
Well, it goes back to speed. So, where your speed's at, speed and PSI work hand in hand, right? So you can slow down and your PSI goes down. You can speed up, your PSI goes up. So, it's all about the speed. Then we didn't have a speed, then we put a sprayer in there and you put it in second gear. You didn't have a hydrostat. You didn't have a set limit. You put it in third gear. Yeah, right. So you had to use old Jiffy jars, calibrate it, and old cone tips.
So speaking of tips, one thing is when I see what's coming out of an airplane, since we're kind of making that comparison to drones and airplanes, it looks like just a little fog, and that would make you think that the droplets are really, really little. But you said the key to doing less water in a mix is actually making your drops bigger. I don't know how I can do that. So how am I emulating a drone or an aircraft with the amount of gallons, but then doing different droplet sizes and still getting the same coverage?
Well, as you're bringing your pressure down, your droplet size are getting larger. Okay, so it's not a mist, it's not a fog. You take it down here in our heat, I truly believe in our heat that it's drying before it tanks it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's 100% drying off. So you fog in this and it looks beautiful behind your sprayer. And then you get down here and it's 95 degrees and we have to spray because it's hot all the time. Mm-hmm. Then, I think it's doing that. Well, with this big droplets, and then we can get that coverage on the plant. It don't take as much. But what we're seeing is, that's what I'm saying. There's still work to be done in a bidirectional tip or things like that we could do a better job.
Okay, so the point
it also still goes back too is if you let weeds get away from you and they're waist high, I don't care if you're running 6 gallon or 26 gallon, you got to cover that weed. So another key to this thing is you can't let your weeds get waist high. You kill them when they're small.
Okay, so you can get by with less gallons because you don't need to coat as many square inches per acre of.
So we got bigger droplets.
Does this adjuvant change the droplet size, Chase?
You got to think too, also, Damien, about that it's more concentrated product, right? Yeah. So instead of a tank load, for instance, when I was running 12 gallon of water, I'd put 25 gallons in a tank load of 25 gallons of Roundup in a tank load of sprayer load, 100 acre load. Now I'm putting 50 gallons in, 50 gallons of Roundup, 50 gallons of Liberty. It's a load.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously there's concentration. Does the product that you put out there change the droplet size? Does your adjuvant change the droplet size, or just makes it so that the product that gets on there is more effective?
It's going to make it more effective. So the spreader sticker on it is going to make it, spread on the leaf better, stick to the leaf better, and then we're getting it into the plant. So that's the biggest thing with that. There's so many components. There's 11 different components with our adjuvant on what it does in the tank. And you take all components, and that's how everything is working together, making everything better. When Brewer called me one day, I'll never forget, he calls me and he goes, "How much of this adjuvant do I need to run with 3-gallon work?" And I go, "Are you running out of a drone or an airplane?" He said, "I'm running out of a ground rig." And this is the first I've ever heard of this. And I said, Brewer, I'm not going to lie to you. I said, "You're going to be the first person that I know of that is going to do this."
You mean to cut the rate back, to cut the water quantity by that much?
Yeah, and he was asking, the rate on the adjuvant for doing this, and we got to talking a little bit, and then he started doing it, and then we added the oil to the mix for weight, and from there it just kind of has took off like a wildfire. I mean, he's got a bunch of different guys doing it. I've talked to a lot of those guys that are running the low volume work, and they're getting really good kills with it. And crop oil, the crop oil still works as a crop oil. So if you're going out with a herbicide, you're heating that crop oil up. And then another thing to take away from our crop oil in season is you're not going to get a burn. So, a lot of crop oils, when you go to the top in season, it's going to burn your beans, your corn, whatever you're going out over the top of. It's going to burn the leaves a little bit. With ours, we're not getting as much burn, little to no burn actually. So that's another benefit of doing this, in season. You're not going to get that burn as you would from like a regular crop oil.
You told me
it kind of worries me. I don't put crop oil. It's got to be bad for me to add crop oil to it. And they come to me and Chase said, "Hey, we need to add this crop oil to it." I'm like, whoa. I don't get backed up a whole lot, but I back up on crop oil. But he's right. I mean, I haven't got any burn from this crop oil.
When we were preparing this, Chase said, it's $2.88 an acre to put this in. I said, "You put it in with everything, whether it's fertility, whether it's insecticide, herbicide, whatever is in the mix." And he said, "Yes." I said, "So can I justify that? Is that an accurate economic comparison? And also, do you say, Chad, yeah, I don't mind $2.88. I was going to put an adjuvant in anyhow, and because now I can run twice as many acres on a load because I'm not hauling water around, it's easily worth that." I mean, how do you look at the economics?
So let's look at it like the mix that I'm using is more like $3.12. But it's just always splitting hairs on the ounces, whether you figure it on this rate or that rate. And mine is, I'm figuring on the rate of, I'm just going to dump one jug in. I'm not going to start splitting ounces of jugs, for these loads because it's still affordable. Yep. But you're right. So, but the thing that most people are using, they're using conventional AMS to fix the water, right? Well, that conventional AMS is good. It's doing what it says it is, but it won't last. If you mix up a tanker load of it, it's going to fall out within what, Chase, 4 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not as long as you think.
If you mix up a sprayer load of it, it's going to fall out before you get the tank empty.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. So with that being said, the AMS is somewhere around, most people's rate is somewhere around 80, 85 cents an acre. So we are, just for the adjuvant alone, we are about double on the adjuvant, not counting the oil, to what the AMS is. But would you rather haul 3 50-pound bags top of sprayer, or one jug? Mm-hmm. There comes a time when convenience and speed, I'll pay that other dollar.
Right. And obviously to cost, I mean, the equipment, these machines, it's not just your time. Having a $700,000 machine is.
Let's talk about that 1 minute. So a sprayer don't have all the John Deere stuff now it's on engine hours. It used to be on separator hours, but a sprayer or tractor is just engine hours. So that sprayer, it's going to take you 1 hour to put out a tank. Most times 1 hour to put out a 100-acre load. Okay, it takes you an average, and we're doing things to speed this up, but it takes you an average of 20 minutes to fill up every time. Okay, yep. So you sit there 20 minutes, and you're paying the same rate per hour to John Deere that it is when it's running ground. So if I could make you another hour, I can make you another tank and a half load a day on the same time frame. I'll give you another tank and a half a day. How much money did I save you?
Yeah, and like I said, this is not on This is not on a minimum wage hour. This is on a piece of equipment that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars,
That's right.
which you start amortizing that over hours.
You're talking about $500,000 machine.
And even talking economics, 85 cents for your AMS. That's just AMS. With the adjuvant, you're getting anti-drift, anti-foam, spreader sticker. We replace your AMS in the tank. So I mean, you're getting all those different components. When you start putting pencil on paper and you start penciling out all these different things, like if you have to run anti-drift, pencil that out. You start penciling everything out. You're going to be somewhere north of that $5-6 mark. To get everything you're getting. With our adjuvant. So, that's another different way we need to look at how we're doing this.
He had to hop in there and do a little pitch. But anyway, yeah, you're right. You're getting an anti-foam.
I'm just saying, you gotta compare apples to apples. If you're
Anti-foam, anti-drift. All right. What do you think? You've done it 5 years now, and there's people that still think this is a little crazy because, oh no, man, I don't know if I trust myself, or I don't know if my sprayer's calibrated enough, whatever. What mistakes do you think that you made, or what do you think in the person that wants to do this, that says, I'm going to cut back and I'm going to do like Chad, I'm going to put in 1/3 of the number of gallons of water that I used to and still get effective spraying done? What do you need to tell them?
So the biggest thing we had going this year is we had a good bit of prevented plant land, and that's where we've done a lot of testing because we got to keep that land clean. I don't need pigweeds on it, and so we've got to do some testing on that. And most time, anything we tell you at XtremeAg, we went way further than that. So if I'm telling you 6 gallons, Johnny Burrell's running 5 gallon. We're going to 3 gallon work. Before it's over with, we'll be at 3 gallon. So I'm going to be twice further ahead than what I'm telling you that we can do. So imagine this. Imagine getting in a sprayer and putting out 3 gallon and putting out 400 acre loads.
Yeah.
Now you don't need a guy sitting at the spray trailer. You put a spray trailer in a general location.
Yeah.
This changes the game on how we can get done. I mean, you're talking about from going from 2 sprayers to 1 sprayer. Every operation is a little different. Now, again, don't think that you need to make sure you get this system right because it's a system, and we got to get the tip right and the coverage right. And you got to talk to your local people about getting that right for you. And we're going to do a lot of testing still to come on tips. We got several kind of tips.
I'm guessing that's been the biggest problem is getting the right tip. The product, I think you probably guys got figured out, guys like Chase and all that. The product's not the issue. It's the actual coverage.
It's the coverage and the speed you want to run. If you're on good flat ground, I mean, there's guys running 16, 17, 18 mile an hour. Okay, well, everybody can't run that. So I can't say, take this one tip and go spray. Because if you're set on 10 mile an hour, it don't work when you're trying to run 20 mile an hour. So you've got to get in the speed that you can run, and then we got to get in that parameter. So we're shooting for anywhere from 20 to 28 PSI. Okay, that's your PSI dictates where you go. You start with PSI and back up from there.
Start with PSI and then back up, and that's where you start figuring out ground speed. Ground speed and tips are after PSI.
That's right. Well, when you get your PSI, when you get that PSI right, then it's obvious the ground speed. So if you say I can't run but 10 to 12 mile an hour, then we work on your PSI backwards. So it's just a few things that has to be done to get this right. And it's more if you may not think it, but more than likely a tip is on your sprayer that'll work. How about that? Because I'm using the same tips I was, but now I'm running 16 mile an hour.
Yeah, you don't think that we're going to go out and buy a bunch of new stuff to make this happen? We probably got the right tools. We just got to get it dialed in.
Well, you got the right tools to start. How about that? And then you start dialing in like this bi-directional tip. This thing is looking really good because you're spraying both sides of that thing. But then man, I've been talking to these tip guys and I had no idea. Like you can get, let's say we got a 004 tip. Okay, I'm using a red tip. Well, there's 3 different red tips you can use on what size droplets. I was like, whoa. Okay. It's astronomical.
Hey, Chase, you've got Chad doing this, and he's got somebody in another state doing this. And then are you becoming the new preacher on this, telling everybody this is what they need to do? Are you going around saying, you need to do this? You need to do what you're doing?
My approach has never changed. I'm the guy that's like, hey, let's try it on your farm, make sure it works. I'm not going around saying, hey, this is the way you got to do this. This is the only way you can do this. Like I'm the guy. We're going to try it. I mean, Chad knows as good as anybody. I love working with Chad XtremeAg because those guys want to test it and they're going to test it and try to break it. And I like working with guys like that because we're going to figure out somewhere down the line we screwed up somewhere. We made a mistake. We're going to fix that mistake. So, going forward, we know, okay, we did it this way this time. It didn't work. We can do it this way. So this year, so when we're doing these tests on this low volume work, I don't have to beat the check. I need the kill to be as efficient as the check. And that's, coming from a spray application and plant nutrition company where we sell foliars and when we're selling foliars, we want to be better than the check. Well, when we're doing this adjuvant testing with the herbicides and we're running this low volume work, I just need to be as good as the check, because if I'm as good as the check, the guy knows he's getting a great kill and he's being more effective, managing time, managing money a lot better, because we're able to run this low volume work. He don't have to fill up as much during the day. So that's kind of been the eye-opening thing with me doing these tests and running this year is we're seeing as good a kill, if not better, versus 10 to 15 gallon work. I mean, it's been done across the board in several different fields. We had a lot of layout ground this year too here in McGee, and Matt's actually done some tests here that I've actually been able to take some of the guys that I have here as customers, show them the field, and that's been something they said. You don't have to win this. You need to be as good of a kill. You don't have to beat the check, so to speak, like we do with this other stuff.
Chad, do you think it matters by crop, by region? What variation? Remember, farmers love to say, well, that'll work for Chad, but it doesn't work for me. I'm trying to think of what this wouldn't work in. Maybe you could make the argument if you're going really late season when there's a lot more foliage, you want to put in more water. Maybe you could make that argument, but they do crop dusting out here. At the beginning of August.
Just like any herbicide, number one is no herbicide company or herbicide wants to go try to kill a plant that's 4 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Period. Okay. Mm-hmm. When they get that big, they've got to weigh anyway. So, well, I didn't get a kill. Well, I don't know why the dang plant was 6 feet tall. Yeah. So, you got to keep your weeds. You need to catch your weeds low, number one. Number two is it's not about just 6 gallon work or 8 gallon work. It's about what can you do on your farm to save time. My number's 6 because that's halfway of where I was. That's a 200 acre load. Johnny Burrell's number's 5. Because of tank volume. He likes it 240 acre load. Matt Haney's number is 5. It's a 1,000 gallon tank. It's a 200 acre load. It's whatever you want to do on your farm to say, hey, you know what? I've been at 15 gallon. I think I'm going to go to 8. It would make all my batches work. Cool. That's fine. Well, I mean, there's no magic number. Just we're saving time and saving water, and there's going to come a point in life that saving water is going to matter.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
All right. His name's Chad Henderson, and he is one of the founders of XtremeAg. He's joined by Chase Garner, who is with Spray Tech. If you want to learn more about Spray Tech, where do they go, Chase? Where do they go?
SprayTechUSA.com.
Spray Tech USA, and we're
on all social media platforms too. So
there's no H on the end of Spray Tech. It's Spray TEC. Right. They've also Chase came here to the granary. If you like what we do here at XtremeAg, remember you should check out all of our other programming. Hundreds of episodes just like this, Cutting the Curve, are for free at XtremeAg.farm. Also videos that these guys shoot in the field. Chad's always shooting videos out there, and those are short little educational moments that you can use all free for you. If you want to take your learning to the next level, you can become an XtremeAg member, $750 a year. You get direct access to guys like Chad. If you need to go a little more in depth on something, you get special offers from our vendors, and you also get the year-end data, which is very, very valuable, worth more than the $750 you'll pay. Also, if you want to check out something really cool, last year we started taping episodes of The Granary. It's shot right here at my on-farm tavern with guys like Chase and Chad who have been here to record. And it's farm guys sitting around having a drink, talking about everything from the personal to the professional, everything in between. So go check all that stuff out. In the meantime, say congratulations to Grandpa Chad Henderson, who just had another grandbaby from his son Jackson. Until next time, thanks for being here. That's Chase. That's Chad. I'm Damian Mason with XtremeAg Cutting the Curve.
That's a wrap for this episode of Cutting the Curve. Make sure to check out XtremeAg.farm for more great content to help you squeeze more profit out of your farming operation.